It's Throwback Thursday, and today I have got these beauties to show you. Two unused Hopkins dyed Blue Jays STX high walls, and they are just as they were the day they were dyed and strung. Cool Hopkins dye, horrendous trad pocket with like zero pocket, and this is how they used to come. And the funny thing is that I actually owned this stick. Tracked these ones down on eBay. They were sold as a pair on eBay in the States. But I had this exact stick with this same appalling trad pocket. You know, there it is. That is the extent of the pocket. And I'll tell you how I came to own one of these sticks. So way back when we all used high walls with terrible trads, I went to a lacrosse camp here in the UK. That's Paul and Gary Gait, and I believe Tom Maverik and Rob Sheck were coaching at, and this would happen kind of fairly regularly for a number of years, where all the American coaches that were based here in the UK would it was usually after, I'm trying to remember when it was. It might have been just before Christmas or just after Christmas, but quite close to that time. And you'd have some of the big name players of the day fly in from the States, join up with the American coaches based here in the UK, who would put on clinics for kids. This old man was a young lacrosse player once, but you'd put on these camps for kids, and they're really well attended, thoroughly enjoyable, learned an awful lot during that time, being coached by some great players of the day. And after one of these camps, I remember there being a company there, Hattersleys, who were still in existence, and they had these dyed sticks. It was really unusual to see dyed sticks in the UK for sale here at the time. Come across them once in a blue moon, but they had like collegiate dyed sticks. And I was a Hopkins fan as a kid, and saw this Hopkins stick, and I was just like, I have to have it. Now, my very first stick was a trad, and I kind of figured out that kind of trad wasn't really for me. I had a black high wall with a black trad in it, or black and white trad, and didn't get on so well with it. That's the first stick I had. Then I had like a maroon Excalibur with a mesh that I bought from a teammate, which was kind of a little bit better. But then saw this and kind of like just fell in love with the fact that it was a Hopkins dyed stick. Didn't have a mesh one for sale. You only had the trads, so kind of bought this stick. And a couple of years later, because I'd realised again that trad wasn't for me, and I didn't restring it, and I actually sold it to a kid who started playing lacrosse at my club, and then he gave up after a year. And it's one of those sticks that I regret selling, so I'm kind of thoroughly pleased to have found these to add to the collection, because it just reminds me of kind of being a young player, enthused about the game. Just brought back memories of this awesome camp being coached by incredible lacrosse players, and those players would put on a series of games. Used to play like 3 games against the England team back in the day, and it was called the All-Star Series, and it was played at I want to say it was played over at Hyde Football Club in a stadium. So it was like it was a big deal for us back then. You could go to this stadium, football stadium, sit in a stadium and actually watch like a really high quality level of lacrosse. With all the American coaches who were based here, with all these big name players, and they'd play the England team. And it's a fantastic atmosphere. It really, really was. And you get the whole lacrosse community across the Northwest, traveling to watch these games. And it was just, it was bitterly cold. It was just that time of year. It was freezing. I remember taking blankets and people just wrapped up in blankets in the stadium. But it was such a great time. And, these dyed sticks, they just remind me of that time being a kid, really enthused about the game, and kind of that moment when you got that new stick and it just made you kind of want to go out there and practice more. So, I'm pretty excited to kind of be reunited with this stick, with this Hopkins dye, because it just brings back a lot of happy memories as a young lacrosse player. And, it's just a really happy time. It was one of those first few seasons of playing, and like I said, just being so enthusiastic about the game and just wanting my stick in my hands all the time. And, just the joy that going out and throwing with your friends who, we're all quite new to lacrosse at that time still. But, just we were so eager to get better. And I tell this story sometimes to people, and I think they take it with a pinch of salt, but I used to live, I don't know, mile and a half maybe from my high school. And there'd be some times that we would organise like an ad hoc practice at school. So you'd kind of like take your gear in so we could practice after school, but we'd also carry this portable goal, all stripped down in pieces, and we'd carry it, from my house in the morning and then carry it back, after school. And, to carry a goal around like a mile and a half with a net that you could set up to use after school, I think that just shows the kind of dedication in those early days we had just to kind of getting better, and I think really that's what some kids need to kind of engage with now, is that you'll do whatever it takes to go out there and take a goal wherever it needs to get to, to go and improve your game. And like I say, it's really kind of heartwarming to have found this high wall again and kind of be reunited with an old friend.